I'm going to be like Silent Bob in this video and not say a bloody word. We're going to change the head on this one and put that donor head in and get this gvd200 up and running. Well, at least that's the plan. So I'm going to do this in pretty much real time. Not going to stop the camera. You'll see beginning to end what I went through and any problems I had along the way. There won't be much, if anything, cut out, other than if I had to stop to answer a phone call or something. I shut the camera off, but this is going to run pretty much in real time. I'm not going to cut anything out, so you can see the exact procedure required to take one of these apart to change the head. So anybody that wants to change the head on one of these, this is what you need to do to change the video head on a gvd200 or a gvd800. The B mechanism cameras are also quite similar to this, but this is a little bit more involved because it's a Walkman type deck, so there's a few more pieces to the mechanism that have to come off. Anyway, I'm going to shut up and play some music, and you guys enjoy. I have two choices here. Either take that plastic bracket off or get my power supply going at about 1.8 volts so that I can eject the mechanism to lift that plastic out of the way. So that's the wrong way. There we go. That's the right polarity. And now the mechanism will release. That'll move that bracket out of the way, and now I can lift the head out without having to take the bracket apart. That's called using your head. Houston, we have a problem. This is not good. We have a problem. You'll see.
Oh boy. They're not the same. This is the dead one that's out of this unit, and this is the one out of the camera. And the drums look the same, similar, except for the wires go the other way and the connection is different. Look at the difference in the connection. Damn, I was hoping that this was going to work, but this is what I was afraid of. Even though the drums may look to be identical, they're not. This is the one from the donor camera, as you can see. You can see the connector here. The connector over here. And this is the one from, this is the worn out drum. Or the drum that looks to be worn out. Yeah, it looks pretty badly worn. But you can see the difference in the connector here. Totally different. So this was kind of an exercise in futility, so to speak, because to say there's no way to take the drum off of this one, the head drum off of this one and put it on the other, just because of the balance, right? The balance won't be the same. As you can see, this one here has a big weight here to balance the bottom end of the drum, and this one here is just a little tiny ball. You see, they're exactly the same, except for this one here required a big weight to balance it on one side, and on the other side it required also just one. whereas this one required 2. So even if you could separate the head and swap it, you'd end up with a head drum that was no longer in perfect balance. And when it's spinning at 4,500 RPM, the vibration would cause jitter in the data, and you would not be able to play digital tapes. So unfortunately, the only solution to this is to find a camera, an older generation camera such as a TRV-110 or TRV-730, or one of those older generation cameras which use the same transport, the ones that lift up from the top, the ones that the tape ejects from the bottom. They are a different chassis, a different circuit board. So I guess we'll put this back together. While this head is out, I will just give this thing a good cleaning and see whether we can get any signal out of it. It could be still a bad clog on here, or it's just worn out, but one signal has no head. Oh, there's nothing left. I can't even feel the heads when I run my finger over it. When I run my finger over on this one here, you can actually feel the heads protruding slightly. Now this one here, you can barely feel anything. Let's get a close-up of the head chips. You can see the wear. See all the wear on that drum? If we look at the other one, it doesn't have all the wear on it. You see how shiny the top of the drum is compared to this other one. You see all the wear marks on here, you see? This head has lots of miles on it. Lots of miles on this one. Anyway. Oh well, I guess it's time to reassemble this unit, and lesson learned. Not compatible. I'll be silent on the assembly, just like on the disassembly. Just so you can see how quick I can put these things back together. They're easy once you've taken a few of them apart. By a few I mean, like, this is only the second one of these I've taken apart. Well, I guess the third. The first was the camera. The first one was mine, and then of course the camera that the donor head came out of when I swapped the heads around on mine. I used the power supply again to retract the mechanism. I'm using like 1.9 volts to do this. We just want the mechanism closed so that it fits nicely into the base assembly. The only good news of this whole entire procedure, well, you guys get to see how to take one of these machines apart, because they're actually quite simple the way they come apart. Look at that, just one screw to hold that in place. First one I did, I bumbled along because I didn't know how to take it apart. It was kind of a learning process for me to actually take the thing apart the first time. But as I say, now that I've taken this mechanism apart before, it's pretty simple to do. I guess the most important part of this whole procedure is learning how to take these apart for one, put them back together. But at least for the fellow that owns this, is that he had this unit, which is worn. He had his 2 digital 8 cameras that were not functional, and now he's got a digital 8 camera that's functional. He's got one that's got parts missing from it, but he does have a spare head drum for his existing working digital 8 camera. I know he says it's not his favorite one because the tape loads from the bottom. Everybody says that about them. They hate them because the tape loads from the bottom. That's the way they are. But at least he will have a digital 8 camera that he can play tapes on and use them for conversion. It's another fellow that's in the conversion business. That's why I'm doing a lot of his maintenance work for him on his stuff. But man, we win some, we lose some, right? In this case, the only way this one's going to work is to source a new drum. So we're still open to offers if someone's got like a TRV 730 or one of those series, 120, 110, any of the ones with the B mechanism where the tape lifts up from the top, that has the correct head for this. But the ones that the tape opens from the bottom, like this one came out of, different design. Like that circuit board, double-sided. But no BGA chips, thank God. That is just a neat little board. Lots of real estate on here too. They could have made this a lot smaller than they did. Lots of real estate on this board. So these units weren't as bad to work on as some things. Some of the little cameras were a lot harder to work on than this. This is the power supply board, by the way. DC to DC converter. Got all the fuses on that board. Incidentally, this little window in the back here, this is actually what's called laser link, and I actually have the receiver for that. This is a little infrared transmitter. There's a little receiver and a diode in here, and it actually sets up a two-way link to a receiver. Well, one of them is a receiver, so you can communicate with it. There's one on the front as well, right, for the infrared remote. There's one on the back here, but there's also a transmitter here, a little diode that will send the audio and video signal wirelessly to a little receiver module that sits on top of the TV. If I can find the thing, I've got it, it's kicking around here somewhere. I don't know where it is. I haven't used it in years, but there was a little receiver module that you can just sit on top of your TV, and then you can just point your camera that had laser link, or one of these units that had laser link, and it would appear on your TV wirelessly. The funny thing was, you had it sitting on a table and someone walked between the player and the TV, of course the picture cut out. But it was neat, and if I can find the unit, I will actually demonstrate it. I've got it, it's around here somewhere. I just haven't used it in years, and I don't remember exactly where I did with it. it is around here, and I think it's probably in my workshop here in the garage up on one of the shelves. I'm pretty sure it's in here somewhere. I've got it. I just haven't used it in forever because I've had HD TV here for many years, and I haven't used analog stuff. But at one time I had it hooked up to my living room TV so that I could play videos off of my little digital 8, off of my little gvd200. I used to be able to play videos on my big TV from it. That's what I used it for. Back in the days when I had an old Mitsubishi projection TV. That TV was retired in 2003 when I got my first DLP set. I retired that set. Two screws left. And they go in the front here to hold the front cover on. Just a bad picture. One of the heads is not working. If we pause it, you can see the head that's like half the signal. It's trying to correct that with the time-based corrector. This has a time-based corrector built in. If I put a digital 8 tape in, it'll be all strobing because it's going to try and reconstruct the missing data. But there's so much missing data there that it really can't reconstruct it, and you get half frames. If this was mini DV and you lost one head, you'd have bands of frozen picture, or in this case, it'd be black bands because the signal is completely missing. But with digital 8, because it only uses 2.5 rotations to make up a frame. The actual frame is there. You're just only getting like one out of every 2 frames. And that's why when it's when someone moves across the screen, they look like max headroom, as we explained in the last video when I first looked at this one. You see? And if I pause it, I'm getting the odd frame. See, frame 5. If I pause it on an even, there's nothing there. So depending on where I pause it, if it's reading the odd frames, it's not reading the even frames. And if I were to slow this down, you'll see the counter flashing between the frames. Anyway, that's about all I can do on this one, unless I can get the head for it. If we can come up with a replacement head, then we'll go through this exercise again. But as far as this one's concerned, nothing I can do at this point. Thanks for watching.